There is a paradox that few dare to face while outwardly we may wear every form of glory titles, money, fame, admiring eyes within a quiet decay may be taking place. The world sees you step on stage, sign contracts, pose with a new car, but few see the deep void inside widening day by day. You may deceive others with a glamorous shell, but you cannot deceive yourself. The real question is, are you moving forward or are you slowly collapsing? Hollow success is the slipperiest path because it tricks you into believing everything is fine. When work grows faster than inner maturity, when income accelerates while wisdom stagnates, when fame soars even as discipline withers, that is when you are walking on a fragile tightrope. And that rope gives no warning of when it will snap. It may break at your peak when the applause is loudest. It may collapse just as you believe you are safe. And when it happens, everything you once built can vanish in the blink of an eye. Nothing is more dangerous than a gleaming car with a corroded engine. Nothing is more fragile than a golden-plated house built on sand. The outside world rewards those who impress for a moment, but life does not long favor those who neglect their roots. A mighty tree does not fall because of a single strong wind. It falls because its roots have long been eaten away. Humans are the same. The downfall of a renowned individual often does not come from sudden misfortune, but from years of neglecting themselves. When you pour all your strength into expanding your career, but forget to nourish your inner self, you are digging a grave for tomorrow. You may be busy to the point of exhaustion, your schedule packed tight, your phone ringing nonstop, your inbox overflowing. To others, you appear the embodiment of success. But without parallel, inner growth busyness is just another form of escape. Escape from the hard questions. Who am I? What principles am I living by? Am I building a person or merely constructing an image? What defeats a human being is not the lack of opportunity, but the lack of depth. You may climb very fast, but if you climb the wrong wall, all that remains is regret. The sooner you face this truth, the less you will have to pay. Hollow success does not show itself immediately. At first, it tastes sweet compliments, contracts, money, applause. But soon follow sleepless nights, a sense of emptiness, amid achievements voids no wealth can fill. That is when you begin to doubt yourself, to fear scrutiny, to cling to work as a way to mask the hollowness within. At that point, no matter how much more you gain inside, you remain empty. The harsh truth is, the world does not care whether you are decaying inside. It only looks at the results you produce. But you cannot escape the truth in the mirror. If every morning you must brace yourself just to continue a performance, then the success you hold is nothing but a mask, and every mask eventually falls. When it does, you lose not only your reputation, you lose the respect you once had for yourself. That loss is heavier than any financial failure. Look around and you will see countless examples. Entrepreneurs, once praised, now collapsed in scandal. Artists who shone on stage, yet drowned in addiction backstage. The wealthiest individuals still seeking their final escape in loneliness. They did not fall for lack of talent, but because the shadow of success consumed an inner core that never had time to grow. Their careers soared high, but their inner selves remained immature. And when the weight of glory exceeded their capacity to bear, it crushed them. You may pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I walking this path? Are you focusing too much on paychecks, cars, the nods of approval from others, while forgetting who you are becoming? If outward success and inner growth do not go hand in hand, you are living with a ticking time bomb. One day, when the pressure is great enough, it will explode, and no one else will bear it for you. Therefore, look closely. The problem is not how many hours you work, how many contracts you sign, or how many assets you own. The problem is, are you growing at the same pace as what you are achieving? Is your inner strength strong enough to support the weight of fame and responsibility? If the answer is no, then today's success is only a temporary shell. The danger of hollow success is like a magnificent building with weak foundations. The higher you build, the greater the risk of collapse. The tragedy is that most only realize it when it is too late, when the storm is already past and all that remains is rubble. You do not have to become one of them. You can choose to reinforce the foundation before adding new floors. You can choose to grow yourself alongside your work. And by doing so, your success will no longer be a castle in the sand, but a fortress that stands through every storm. This is not a warning meant to plant fear, but to awaken. True success lies not in what others can see, but in what they cannot: composure, depth of thought, inner strength, silent discipline. If you cultivate these, then even if the outer world shakes within you remains unshaken. And when your inner force is strong, only then can what you build on the outside endure. The danger of hollow success truly disappears only when you ask a new question, not what am I achieving, but who am I becoming? The answer to that question will determine whether your success is a fleeting firework or a lasting lighthouse guiding a lifetime. If this video inspired you, hit that like button to spread the positive energy and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on life-changing insights. But don't stop there. I want to hear from you. Comment below and share your biggest takeaway or the one step you're committing to today. And make sure to turn on the notification bell because the next video will reveal powerful strategies to break your limits and unlock your best self. We're building a community of action takers and dreamers, and I want you to be part of it. A job brings salary, reputation, and opportunity, but it is you who are the engine that determines destiny. A car may be polished to shine, but if its engine runs out of oil, the journey ends early. Life is the same, work is only the surface, but the person within is the foundation. When you invest more in yourself, everything else naturally rises. If you do the opposite, focusing on resumes titles and outward milestones while neglecting inner cultivation, then no matter how high you climb, you are still standing on weak ground. That is why the pivot of every lasting achievement lies in the choice to work on yourself more than on your job. Think of the difference between someone who only knows how to work by the hour and someone who knows how to work on themselves. The first is paid for each minute spent. Their existence is tied to the clock, to the paycheck, to the nod of a superior. The second pays themselves with daily growth. As their knowledge deepens, their thinking sharpens, and their character strengthens, their value surpasses any hourly wage. Those who work on themselves are not merely employees. They become resources, creators, assets, indispensable to any environment. The difference is like that between a temporary tool and a durable machine. Your job may change, but you will accompany yourself for life. Investing in your job solves the present. Investing in yourself builds the foundation for the future. When you work on yourself, you are signing a lifelong contract, one no boss can sign for you, no company can terminate, no crisis can break. On the scale, your job gives you tasks yourself, gives you vision. Your job helps you complete a project yourself, shapes the entire direction of your career. Your job provides income yourself, provides the capacity to open every door. A job can vanish with a single decision from the market, but yourself, once refined, can never be taken away. Therefore, the real question is not how many hours you work each day, but how many hours you work on yourself. The interesting thing is that when you focus on yourself, your job becomes easier. Those with inner discipline do not need deadlines to drive them. They set their own pace and keep their word to themselves. Those with vision are not confined by daily tasks. They see the link between small actions and the larger picture. Those with solid values do not need to compromise under pressure. They know clearly what cannot be traded. These inner qualities are what distinguish the mere hard worker from the true architect of a lasting career. There is a subtle difference between working to be paid and working to become worthy. Those who work only for wages live in a loop. Once the hours are done, their value ends. Those who work to upgrade themselves accumulate each day. Every new skill, every lesson learned, every disciplined habit, all become assets no one can take away. These assets not only yield returns in the present, but compound profits for the future. You can look at any outstanding individual for proof. A successful entrepreneur does not just learn how to run a company, they learn how to run themselves, controlling emotions, holding vision, training, perseverance. A great leader does not just issue commands, they become a model of integrity and endurance. An immortal artist does not just create works. They dig deep into themselves, challenge their limits, and dare to live true to their emotions. They all share one thing in common: they worked on themselves before working on anything else. If you want your career to be sustainable, regard yourself as the greatest, most important project. Do not pour all your effort into KPIs while ignoring character. Do not chase salaries and bonuses while forgetting that it is your habits, your mindset, your beliefs that determine long-term income. A job may end, but the person you become never disappears. And when you have matured enough, your job is only a tool, not a shackle. Someone once said, "Your job pays you by the hour, but growth pays you for life." This is not a slogan but a harsh truth. A volatile market may take away stability, but no one can strip you of your creative thinking. A boss may stop valuing you, but no one can erase the discipline etched into your blood. A setback may take away assets, but no one can touch the inner conviction you have built with thousands of steadfast days. Working on yourself more than on your job is a reminder that value does not lie in the numbers tied to contracts, but in the identity you carve each day. When you read a book instead of scrolling mindlessly, when you spend time reflecting instead of only running by schedule, when you keep a small promise to yourself, you are signing an agreement with your future. That future will not pay you with a monthly wage, but with freedom, credibility, inner security, and the ability to withstand every storm. In an age where everyone is taught to hustle, to grind, to work without rest, it is easy to forget that it is not the intensity of work that determines success, but the quality of the one doing the work. If your old self, old habits, and narrow beliefs remain the foundation, then the harder you try, the more you build an unworthy future. But if you continuously refine yourself, then no matter how the outer road changes, you will have the capacity to adapt, to create, and to lead. The difference between a life of mere survival and a life worth living lies in this choice. The first lets the job define the self. The second lets the self define the job. The first lives only on temporary recognition. The second builds value that time cannot erase. Therefore, if there is one central axis to hold on to, it is this unchanging reminder: devote more energy to developing the person within. From that, every job you touch becomes a testimony, not a burden. Once you choose to place the focus on training yourself, you discover a liberation work is no longer a place to prove, but a place to express. You no longer work to be paid, but to confirm the new identity growing within. And at that moment, you step out of the heavy loop of labor and onto the path of creating lasting value. Outward success will come, but it will no longer be the ultimate goal. It will only be the inevitable result of a foundation already made strong. Every great work in human history, from the Egyptian pyramids to modern global corporations, began as an idea in the human mind. Before the first brick was laid, before the foundation was set in stone or steel, there was a seed in thought, a philosophy shaping the path forward. Humanity has never built anything beyond the limits of its own thinking. That is why every castle of success begins at its deepest layer, the realm of ideas and life philosophy. Before a man accumulates wealth, he must accumulate philosophy. Before a woman becomes a leader, she must first become an unrelenting student of truth. True wealth does not lie in bank figures, but in the system of thought that directs daily decisions. You may encounter luck for a moment, you may suddenly be handed an opportunity, but if your thinking remains average, your life will remain bound at that level. Conversely, when your mind is sharp, disciplined, and expansive, then no matter how small your beginnings, you still possess the strength to bend the future to your will. The issue is this: most people spend their lives working, but very few devote enough time to renewing their mindset. They read what is familiar, listen to what feels comfortable, and cling to old views as though they were impregnable walls. Yet no fortress is ever eternal. It is either upgraded or torn down. The mind is the same. Either you deliberately refresh it daily, or it gradually decays and is overtaken by the outside world. You cannot expect an old mind to create a new future. Mindset is like operating software. If you keep an outdated version while the world continually upgrades, you will face system errors, delays, and eventually elimination. You may hold degrees and titles, but if the way you think still rests on narrow assumptions, all external advantages are nothing more than paint covering a cracked foundation. Others may see the resum, but destiny only reflects the philosophy you carry within. Ask yourself, what books are you reading? Do they expand your perspective or merely reinforce your existing beliefs? What questions are you asking? Do they shake you, force you to re-examine yourself, or do they simply keep you safe in your comfort zone? A mind that has never been challenged is like a muscle. Never trained, it may appear intact, but in truth it is soft and fragile. Successful people understand this. To build a solid castle, one must first dig deep foundations in philosophy. They are unafraid to dismantle old beliefs if those no longer serve them. They do not cling to ideas just because they are convenient. They willingly engage with opposing views because they know each challenge to the ego is an expansion of vision. Thinking does not grow in comfort, it grows through collision, dialogue, and constant testing. If your mindset is mediocre, your life cannot rise above it, even if luck occasionally comes your way. Fortune may grant you a contract, an opportunity, a connection, but fortune never sustains results. Only a firm philosophy allows you to preserve what you achieve. Just as an athlete may unexpectedly win a race, but only one with a rigorous training mindset can sustain performance over time. Mindset not only determines action, it determines how you see the world. A person with a narrow philosophy sees only limits, enemies, and barriers. A person with an expansive philosophy sees opportunities, lessons, and open doors everywhere. Thinking creates the lens, and that lens shapes your entire life. To change your life, you must first change the lens. The interesting truth is that philosophy is not something distant. It reveals itself in the smallest choices. What you choose to read at night, that is philosophy. How you choose to respond to failure, that is philosophy. What you choose to say when criticized, that is philosophy. No one needs to proclaim their philosophy, for it is already expressed in every habit, every reaction, every decision. Those with strong philosophy do not boast. They simply live, and their lives are the most eloquent testimony. Refined thinking is like a weapon. With a dull blade, you may cut through small branches, but when faced with a dense forest, you will be powerless. With a blade sharpened continuously, you can carve your way through any obstacle. Life is the same, only those who sharpen their mindset daily have the strength to forge a path through trials. Look at the broader picture. Your job only gives you tasks, but mindset gives you vision. Tasks end after a project, a quarter, or a year. Vision can guide an entire lifetime. A job gives you income, but mindset gives you freedom. A job can be cut away, but a cultivated mindset is never lost. If you do not train your thinking, you are gambling your entire life on variables beyond your control. Therefore, every castle of success begins with an idea in the mind. Those who refuse to build philosophy are trying to construct skyscrapers on sand. In contrast, those who diligently deepen their foundations of thought, even starting from nothing, can still build enduring legacies. Real wealth is not the number you currently hold, but the system of thought you continuously expand. When you are rich in philosophy, you will be rich in every dimension. A mind sharpened daily gives you calm confidence. You no longer need to chase trends because you know how to discern. You are not drawn into comparisons because you understand your unique worth. You do not panic in difficulty because you have built the belief that every challenge is a stepping stone. Philosophy does not just make you smarter, it makes you deeper. And from that depth, the world begins to see you differently. Remember, the world can strip away everything, but no one can take the philosophy you have engraved within. As long as you retain a sharp mind, you retain your future. As long as you uphold a firm philosophy, you maintain the ability to rebuild from scratch. That is why every lasting castle begins not with bricks and stones, but with the idea in its creator's mind. And if you are serious about the path to success, your first work is not chasing goals, but redesigning your mind, laying foundations with a philosophy deep enough to support a lifetime. Trust is not a gift handed down by someone else, nor is it a medal that can be bought with applause. Trust is something you must forge for yourself day by day, hour by hour, through the act of keeping your word to yourself. Many mistake trust as something built on encouragement from others, on sweet words of motivation, but the truth is far harsher. It is forged only when you consistently fulfill the promises you make, especially in the moments when no one is watching. It is in those very moments that you either nourish a quiet strength or erode your own foundation. Picture a mirror. Each time you promise yourself to wake up early but hit the snooze button, the mirror cracks a little. Each time you decide to finish an important task but sink into procrastination, another fracture appears. Over time, the reflection becomes unclear, and what you see is a distorted version of yourself. In contrast, when you keep your word even with a small action, the mirror grows brighter, the image clearer, and little by little you learn how to trust yourself. Inner trust is that mirror reflecting your loyalty to your own commitments. There is a truth many fail to recognize. People can forgive themselves more easily for breaking promises to others than for breaking promises to themselves. When you disappoint others, the consequences are visible. You are forced to face them, to apologize, to fix things. But when you betray yourself, the consequences do not appear immediately. They seep in quietly like a symptomless disease. One day, you suddenly realize you have lost motivation, confidence, and courage. And the reason is not that the world has been too cruel, but that you have corroded your own trust through countless promises left unfulfilled. Inner trust does not sprout on days of excitement. It is formed on days of weariness. It does not arise from praise, but from those silent days of discipline, when your mind tells you to give up, but you show up anyway. When temptations call sweetly, but you choose the long and difficult road. When no one is watching, yet you still work with integrity. Those are the moments that accumulate into enduring trust. Others may not see it, but you know it clearly. I can rely on myself. And nothing else can replace that feeling. Perhaps you have experienced this. You decide to exercise and actually stick with it for a week. The feeling after 7 days is not only that your body is stronger, but that you carry a quiet belief that you can master yourself. That belief makes you stand taller, speak with greater certainty, and choose with more confidence. You may not have achieved grand results yet, but you have planted a seed. I am someone who keeps my word. When that seed is watered with repeated experiences, it grows into a tree with deep roots that no storm can uproot. On the other hand, every time you make a promise to yourself and quit, you cut away a piece of that root. Once or twice may show no consequence, but repeated often enough, you turn yourself into someone who no longer dares to believe their own words. And if you cannot believe yourself, how can you expect others to? If you cannot keep a small promise, how can you possibly carry a great dream? It is not external failure that destroys a person, but inner decay when you no longer believe you can do what you say. That is why inner trust becomes the foundation of all lasting success. People may not believe in you at first, but when you believe in yourself, you produce evidence through your actions, and that evidence gradually convinces the world. Great individuals never began with recognition from the crowd. They began in silence, keeping their promises to themselves over and over until the world had no choice but to believe. When you build trust from within, you are no longer controlled by external forces. You do not need encouragement to act. You do not need a cheering crowd to step on stage. You are not shaken by criticism, nor do you float away on praise. Your worth is affirmed through experiences. You have witnessed yourself. You know who you are, what you can hold to, and how far you can go. Many may ask, how do I begin? The answer is simple but not easy. Start with the smallest promises. Set the alarm and actually get up when it rings. Plan to read 10 pages and finish them before bed. Commit to writing 3 lines in your journal and never skip a day. Each small action is a brick. Stack enough bricks and you will have the solid wall of trust. Do not underestimate the small things, for greatness is built from thousands of choices that once seemed trivial. Inner trust does not come from luck, but from discipline. It does not fall from the sky, but grows from repeated habits. When you look back and see a long chain of commitments honored, you realize your confidence is not an illusion, but a proven result, and that confidence becomes an energy others cannot ignore. Do not mistake trust for arrogance. Inner trust is entirely different from outward bravado. Arrogance requires attention to exist, but true trust exists even in silence. It is a hidden flame, unseen, yet strong enough to keep you warm on the coldest nights. The arrogant collapse the moment they are contradicted, while those with inner trust remain standing because they know their truth does not depend on anyone's approval. And that is the power of keeping your word. Every time you stay loyal to a personal commitment, you forge a steel link in the chain of trust. The more links, the stronger the chain. At some point, it becomes strong enough to pull you through any trial, sturdy enough to carry the weight of your greatest dreams. By then, you no longer need to seek trust from others because you possess an inexhaustible source within. Inner trust is the backbone of every journey. Without it, every strategy is just empty talk, every goal just meaningless paper. But with it, every action carries a different weight. You do not just speak, you affirm through your presence. You do not just dream, you prove it with each step. And the world, whether skeptical or slow, ultimately must acknowledge it. For those with inner trust, do not wait to be given strength. They create it themselves by keeping their word again and again until nothing can shake them. In a world overflowing with information, where thousands of signals surround us every passing second, the most precious asset is not speed but clarity. A person without direction may run fast only to discover they are lost. A person with clarity, even moving slowly, still reaches the right destination. In the middle of a storm, a ship does not need more sails, it needs a compass. People are the same. Amid pressure, comparison, and the noise of the crowd, what protects you is not busyness, but the ability to determine direction in every decision. Clarity is not a gift from above, it is the fruit of struggle. Struggle against distraction, against the urge to imitate others, against the temptation to follow what is fashionable but meaningless. Modern life constantly pours into your ears a barrage of musts. You must succeed quickly, must own more, must be admired. Without vigilance, you will spend your life chasing shadows drawn by others. And the bitterest outcome is not failure, but winning a race that was never yours. To gain clarity, you must first have the courage to ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Who do I want to become? What values am I unwilling to compromise? These questions are not easy to answer because they require you to pause in the middle of the rush and look directly at yourself. But if you do not dare to answer, the world will answer for you. It will fit you into molds, label you with the standards of the masses, and you will eventually realize you have lived by a script written by someone else. Clarity is like a flame you must kindle every day. It does not flare once and burn forever. You must feed it with reminders, with non-negotiable principles, with the discipline of saying no to small but dangerous temptations. People often think clarity comes from a single moment of enlightenment, but in reality it is the product of constant reaffirmation. Each day you etch deeper what you pursue, each day you burn away what does not belong to you, and little by little the path ahead becomes sharp and defined. One of the clearest signs of those lacking clarity is constant comparison. They chase after the success of friends, worry about photos on social media, measure their worth by others' standards. But comparison is a game with no end. There will always be someone richer, smarter, more famous. If you do not identify what matters most to you, you will remain on the hamster wheel. The more you run, the more exhausted you become, yet you go nowhere. Those with clarity are different. They can witness others' success without being shaken because they know exactly the path they are walking. Clarity is not only knowing what you want, but also knowing what you do not want. Defining your non-negotiables is the fastest way to hold your compass steady. It could be an unbreakable principle of honesty, a boundary of time reserved for family, a resolve never to sacrifice health for achievement. These no's may appear limiting, but in truth they are fortress walls protecting you from downfall. The unclear are easily swayed by every pressure, but those with principles stand firm even in the storm. Clarity is also what separates leaders from followers. In a group, anyone can offer ideas, but a true leader identifies what is core, what cannot be compromised. When everyone else is confused, their clarity becomes the anchor. An organization may lack resources, may lack experience, but if it has clarity, it still has the power to break through, because clarity channels scattered efforts into one unified flow. Yet clarity is never rigidity. It is not a fixed map, but a compass. A compass does not dictate the exact path, but it always points to true direction. Those with clarity may change their methods, but not their goals. They may adjust strategies, but not betray their values. It is precisely this blend of flexibility and method and firmness in direction that creates invincible strength. Imagine driving in the rain at night. Street lights blur, road lines vanish underwater, but if you have a compass and know your destination, you can still move forward bit by bit. Life often resembles this scene. New societal expectations, financial pressures, endless comparisons, they are the downpour obscuring your vision. Without clarity, you drift easily off course. But if within you lies a fixed north, then even if your pace slows, you remain on the right road. Clarity brings a priceless gift, peace of mind. The unclear are always torn, always questioning whether they are wrong, whether they should change direction. The clear walk lighter, not because the road is easier, but because their mind is no longer torn by countless choices. They know what they choose, what they refuse, and what price they accept. Peace does not come from fewer storms, but from carrying a compass within. The only way to possess clarity is discipline with yourself. Write down your core values, repeat them daily, act in alignment with them, regardless of circumstance. Each time you stay true, your clarity shines brighter. Each time you compromise against them, the flame dims. You cannot think your way to clarity. You can only live it. And when it becomes part of your identity, every decision naturally aligns, free of conflict. In life's storms, no one escapes moments of swaying, but clarity is what keeps you from drifting. It is the guiding star that keeps you on course even when the winds are fiercest. You may not control the storm, but you can control the compass in your hand. And that is why those with clarity always stand apart. They do not live by headlines, do not chase trends, do not depend on instant approval. They live by a direction carved deep within, and because of that, they reach places others never touch. Clarity is a quiet yet razor-sharp force. It does not make noise, but it shapes a lifetime. A clear decision today can transform the next decade. A clearly affirmed value can save you from countless traps. And a clear vision can turn small steps into a great journey. Amid chaos, the strongest are not those with the most sails, but those who hold firmly to a compass that never points wrong. Nothing drains a human being faster than a life without purpose. Money can buy comfort, fame can draw admiration, power can create the illusion of control, but all of these, if not connected to a central source of energy, purpose, sooner or later become nothing more than hollow shadows. Purpose is the power station of life. It supplies the current for every effort, lights up each action, and sustains endurance through stretches that seem hopeless. Without purpose, one merely survives. With purpose, one becomes a torch capable of lighting an entire world. The danger is that most confuse purpose with passion, with a job, with a title. Passion can blaze brightly and then burn out after a single setback. A job can be taken away by a decision in the market. A title can vanish in an instant when positions change. But purpose, when it is truly chosen and affirmed, no one can touch. It does not lie outside. It lies in an inner decision, the decision that life must hold, meaning beyond the self, that we do not exist merely for ourselves but to create lasting impact. Purpose is not something you stumble upon on a beautiful day. It is a deliberate declaration. People often ask, how do I find my purpose? In truth, purpose is not found, it is decided. It does not wait for you at a motivational seminar. It emerges when you dare to declare, I will make this the meaning of my life. The difference is immense. Those who wait for purpose are like people standing in the dark night hoping for lightning to show the way. Those who decide on purpose ignite their own fire and turn it into an eternal light. Purpose holds a strange power. It transforms the way you see the world. Without purpose, every hardship is an obstacle, every failure an ending, every effort meaningless. But when purpose is clear, failure becomes data, hardship becomes testing, and every effort becomes progress. In the same situation, one without purpose will give up, while one with purpose will move forward with steady eyes. That is because purpose provides energy that rises above fleeting emotion and short-term convenience. Look at those who changed history. None of them acted merely for money or position. Martin Luther King did not rise for fame. He rose for a vision of justice. Marie Curie did not devote her life to science for awards, but out of belief that knowledge could save lives. Leaders, scientists, reformers, their common trait was not talent, but a purpose larger than themselves. It was this very purpose that gave them energy to work beyond ordinary limits, transforming them into enduring symbols. In everyday life, purpose also distinguishes those with lasting success from those who fade after a brief glow. Those who chase salary stop once comfort is achieved. Those who chase recognition burn out once praise becomes scarce. But those who live by purpose do not stop at any milestone, for purpose has no finish line. It always demands you go further, deeper, stronger. And in the process, you do not merely produce results, you create a legacy. Purpose has another strength: it purifies. When you truly know what matters most, you can easily say no to the trivial. You are no longer dragged by every opportunity because you know not every opportunity is worthy. You no longer panic when others move faster because you know your path is unlike anyone else's. Clarity may have given you direction, but purpose gives you the drive to hold that direction no matter how many temptations beckon. Some may object, I haven't found my purpose. What should I do? The answer is not to wait, but to choose a path big enough to give yourself to, and then start with small steps. Purpose does not need to be perfect from the start. It is refined through experience, through trial, through perseverance. What matters most is that you dare to begin, dare to declare, I do not live merely to work, spend, and repeat. I live to bring forth value beyond myself. When that affirmation becomes your choice, you have switched on the power station of your life. What makes purpose such an enduring energy source is that it connects you to something greater than yourself. When every action serves only the ego, motivation dries up easily. But when action ties to a meaning beyond personal interest, you can go farther than imagined. A mother can work tirelessly for her child. A soldier can stand firm for his country. A creator can labor endlessly to transform a field. When purpose rises above the self, it unlocks an inexhaustible reservoir of energy. Purpose also acts as a filter for integrity. When you work only for short-term gains, you are easily tempted to cut corners, to compromise with the wrong. But when you live for purpose, you keep your hands clean because you understand every step must align with the meaning you have chosen. A right purpose not only pulls you forward, it keeps you pure along the way. Ultimately, purpose not only makes you stronger, it makes you trustworthy. Others may not agree with you, but they will sense authenticity in every step. They will see steadiness in your eyes, firmness in your decisions. Purpose transforms you from a runner in the crowd to a leader with natural magnetism. Trust, admiration, opportunity. They come not because you chase them, but because your purpose radiates an energy the world cannot ignore. A life without purpose is like a ship with no power source. Even with a compass, it sits motionless in the dark. But a life with purpose is different. It shines from within, powering every action, turning small steps into a great journey. Purpose does not wait for you. It demands your choice. And once you dare to choose, you will see everything else, work, money, relationships, reputation, fall naturally into line. If purpose is the power station that fuels life, then discipline is the transmission line, the bridge connecting who you are today to the image of who you long to become. Without discipline, every vision is mere fantasy. Without discipline, every goal is nothing more than words on paper. Discipline is the stern test of a question. Do you truly want what you say, or are you only trying to soothe yourself with fleeting declarations? Many people mistake excitement for discipline. Excitement arises from emotion, from the moment you hear a fiery speech or glimpse a new opportunity. But excitement fades quickly. It is like a flare that burns brightly for an instant and then vanishes into the dark. Discipline is different. It is a small flame that burns steadily, sustained by repetition day after day. Those who rely on excitement often start strong but quit halfway, while those who rely on discipline advance calmly step by step until they arrive at their destination. Discipline is not harsh coercion, it is the art of true freedom. Those without discipline believe they are enjoying freedom by indulging in every whim, but in reality they are slaves to sudden shifts. Today they act because they feel good, tomorrow they abandon because they feel low. Those with discipline understand that freedom does not come from following every impulse, but from mastering oneself, forcing action even when desire is absent. That is real power, the power to control short-term impulses in service of long-term destiny. Discipline is like a bridge stretched across the chasm between the present and the future. On one side, you stand with old habits, weakness, and procrastination. On the other, you see yourself strong, successful, living in alignment with purpose. That gap cannot be closed by dreaming. It can only be crossed plank by plank of discipline, waking on time, keeping your word, meeting deadlines, focusing on the right work. Each small action is a board laid upon the bridge. And with enough persistence, that bridge will carry you across, turning the image of the future into reality. One truth must be engraved: discipline is not built on easy days, but on hard ones. Anyone can act when motivation is high, but it is in moments of exhaustion, frustration, and crushing pressure when you still choose to continue that discipline is truly forged. That is when you prove that your actions no longer obey feelings but commitment, and that commitment is the cord that ties you to your long-term dream. Discipline is also the key to enduring confidence. You cannot pretend to trust yourself when you know you have broken promises too many times. But when discipline brings you to complete what you set out to do, even small tasks, you begin to accumulate trust. Day after day, the chain of kept commitments becomes undeniable evidence. You are reliable to yourself. From that confidence, you step into life with no hesitation, no trembling before challenges. The successful differ not by extraordinary talent, but by discipline forged like steel. They read while others sleep. They train while others rest. They prepare while others delay. From the outside, it looks like sacrifice, but to them it is liberation. For discipline frees them from the torment of what if. What if I had worked harder? What if I had been more consistent? The disciplined do not live in regret because they did what needed to be done regardless of what emotions said. Discipline is also the factor that transforms dreams into tangible results. Everyone has dreams, but not everyone dares to pay the price of discipline. Dreams do not need more admiration, they need repeated action. Every workout completed, every page read, every hour of undistracted focus, they all compound into power. And eventually outsiders may think you succeeded through luck, but you know clearly it was the product of 1,000 disciplined days. What is remarkable is that discipline not only produces achievements, it produces character. When you force yourself to rise on a cold morning, you are not merely exercising, you are constructing a more resolute self. When you sit and finish work, though, your mind craves escape, you are not only adding output, you are building the identity of a warrior who will not yield. Discipline does not only change what you do, it changes who you are. And it is this new self that is the greatest reward. A human life passes through many stages: youth full of dreams, middle age heavy with responsibility, old age rich with reflection. In every stage, discipline plays the central role. It helps the young not lose themselves in illusions, helps adults not be swallowed by pressure, helps the elderly have a legacy worth pride. Without discipline, every stage is blurred. With discipline, every stage shines with its own distinct mark. Remember that discipline is not a shackle you must endure, it is a bridge you willingly build. Each time you do something difficult, without being asked, you add another span to the bridge. Each time you choose right over easy, you lay another sturdy plank. Slowly the bridge stretches farther until one day you realize you have left behind the shore of stagnation and stepped onto the land of your future self. There is no shortcut to crossing that distance. Only discipline, repeated, patient, silent, can carry you across. And then one day when you look back, you will see it was not work that brought you here, not luck nor the encouragement of others. It was discipline, the small choice repeated 1,000 times, that carried you from the present to the future. It is the most enduring bridge, stronger than ambition, brighter than illusion, more real than empty promises. And when you walk upon that bridge, you will know with certainty that nothing can stop a person who has built discipline within themselves. Potential is a promise. Action is the proof. The whole world may see that you are intelligent, talented, gifted, but if all of that remains only on paper, it is no different from a seed left forgotten in a drawer. A seed only becomes a tree when planted in the soil, cared for, exposed to sun and rain. People are the same ideas, only live when turned into steps and dreams, only gain a soul when nourished by consistent action. Every achievement you admire in life did not begin with random luck, but with a specific decision to get to work, even when uncertain, even when doubtful, even when trembling inside. Action is the difference between a dreamer and a builder. Dreamers talk about plans, paint brilliant visions, discuss someday. Builders quietly lay the first brick. The world does not reward illusions, it only recognizes the structure. And structures do not appear out of nowhere. They are shaped from small, seemingly insignificant actions repeated persistently. That is why those who dare to act often surpass those who only think, even if the latter begin with more talent. The greatest fear of human beings is starting before perfection. Everyone waits until they have enough information, enough skill, enough confidence before acting. But the truth is, enough never comes. Confidence does not precede action. It is forged within action. Courage does not wait for you. It arises once you step into the work. You do not need to see the entire road. You only need enough light to take the first step. That step is the key that opens the second door, the third, and eventually the entire journey. Action is also the only way to measure the true worth of an idea. On paper, ideas are always flawless. In imagination, they are always smooth. But only when brought into reality do you discover whether they can stand. And even if they collapse, you still gain data, experience, and growth. Those who fear action fear mistakes, but they fail to see that avoidance itself is the greatest mistake. Action may bring failure, but inaction guarantees regret. There will be times when you feel uncertain, unready, unqualified. That is precisely when you must act. To refrain from acting out of fear is to lock shut the doors of your future. Those who achieve the most are not the ones with all the answers, but the ones who dare to try, dare to fail, and dare to try again. While the majority sit debating, analyzing, hesitating, they have already taken 10 steps, and those 10 steps alone create a gap not easily closed. Observe the world. It is full of intelligent people who remain stuck believing that thinking more means moving further. In reality, action creates results, while thought creates only possibility. Possibility without proof is merely potential left to die. A writer is not remembered for ideas in their head, but for the pages published. An entrepreneur is not judged by their dream of business, but by the company built. An athlete is not marked by hidden skill, but by the matches they played. Action turns ability into history. Action also shapes you more than you realize. Every time you act, you do not only create results, you carve identity. One who writes daily becomes a writer, not because their first book succeeded, but because the act of writing made them a writer. One who trains each morning becomes an athlete, not because of an immediate medal, but because repeated action built their identity. You become what you do consistently, not what you think occasionally. The key is that action must spring from principle, not from applause. If you only act with an audience, you will stop when the lights go out. If you only act when recognized, you will quit when criticized. But if your action is rooted in belief and purpose, then even in silence you remain steadfast. It is those quiet, unpraised actions that form the foundation of true greatness. For the spotlight only reveals results, while the darkness preserves the process. Action is also the strongest antidote to fear. The more you sit and think, the larger fear grows. The longer you delay, the greater obstacles loom in imagination. But when you begin, you realize they are not as big as you thought. Courage is not born of analysis. It is born of a trembling step taken anyway. Those who know how to act do not wait for courage to appear before moving. They move first and let courage appear afterward. The world does not reward untapped potential. It only rewards execution. A song never played, a book never written, an idea never acted upon, all are drifting dreams. Only when they are acted into existence do they become legacy. And that is the difference between a life that leaves a mark and a life that disappears without memory. Every day you have the chance to cast a vote for the person you are becoming. Each choice to act is a ballot. Do you want to be a writer? Write a page today. Do you want to be healthy? Train today. Do you want to be a leader? Make a decision today. Each small vote may seem meaningless, but accumulated over time, they shape undeniable results. Action is the silent election of your identity. You do not need to wait for a special day to change. This very moment you can begin. Without the first step, the journey of 1,000 miles is illusion. Without action today, tomorrow will be a repeat of yesterday. And if too many days slip by like that, you will wake in regret. But if you begin even with small acts, you create a new trajectory, pulling yourself out of old inertia and into a different future. Potential is the starting point. Action is the proof, and only proof carries value. The world will not remember what you thought or what you dreamed, but it will remember what you did and what mark you left. Every ability, every idea, every dream must pass through the gate of action to become reality. And the moment you choose to act, you step into the other half of life, the half where potential is no longer a promise but a tangible force of value. If discipline is the bridge and action the footsteps, then gratitude is the soil that nourishes every seed in the journey of growth. Without soil, the seed dies prematurely. Without gratitude, every achievement becomes dry, soulless, and eventually collapses under the weight of its own emptiness. Gratitude is not merely words spoken in ceremonial moments. It is a state of mind, a way of seeing the world, a source of nourishment that permeates every effort. A heart without gratitude is like barren ground. No matter how many seeds of talent, thought, or opportunity you plant, they struggle to sprout. Some believe gratitude means resignation. That is a dangerous misunderstanding. Gratitude is not passive acceptance, nor is it self-soothing to forget ambition. On the contrary, gratitude opens the door to true growth. When you are grateful for what you already have, you begin from a state of sufficiency rather than lack. And when the mind feels sufficient, it dares to go further, it dares to expand. Conversely, those who live in a mindset of lack are often greedy, impatient, and willing to compromise even core values just to patch the invisible hole within. Gratitude transforms loss into lessons, challenges into opportunities. Ordinary people see failure as an end. Grateful people see it as a message for growth. Ordinary people see work as a burden. Grateful people see it as a chance to refine themselves. Ordinary people complain when facing difficulty. Grateful people understand that adversity is fertile soil for lasting strength. Thus, gratitude does not weaken you, it makes you steadfast, clear-sighted, and unshakable. Observe the contrast. One person begins the day dissatisfied, letting the smallest inconveniences become reasons for irritation. The sun is too harsh, co-workers too noisy, workload too heavy. Meanwhile, another person begins with gratitude, thankful for health, thankful for work to contribute, to thankful for another day to live with meaning. These two individuals step into the same reality, yet their experiences of life are entirely different. The world does not change. Their inner state creates two opposing trajectories. Gratitude holds another invisible power it attracts. When you are grateful, the energy you radiate is different, calm, sincere, warm. Others sense it and naturally want to draw near. Relationships, opportunities, trust all sprout from this soil. In contrast, dissatisfaction pushes people away, leaving you isolated even in a crowd. A heartfelt thank you can open doors that 1,000 clever arguments cannot. The important truth is that gratitude does not depend on circumstance, it depends on choice. Some live in wealth yet remain dissatisfied, always comparing and feeling deprived. Others in hardship still find peace because they see value in small things. Gratitude is the ability to see the hidden gift in every moment, even when it wears the mask of failure. And this ability can be trained, not inherited. Each day, you can choose to write down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how big or small. That simple habit gradually crafts a new lens, allowing you to walk through life with brighter eyes and a lighter heart. Gratitude is also the anchor that keeps you from spiraling into greed. The modern world teaches you to want more money, more fame, more power. But those who only live for more never feel enough because their measure keeps shifting. Today a car, tomorrow a mansion, the next day a plane. That race has no finish line. Gratitude helps you pause, breathe, and realize what you already have is the foundation of happiness. From there, you no longer run out of lack, but grow out of a desire to give, to create more value for others. In the darkest days, gratitude is the guiding light. When you lose, it reminds you there are still things worth keeping. When you fail, it shows you there is still a chance to start again. When you are betrayed, it teaches you to cherish the loyal relationships that remain. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it places pain in context, so you see that life is still broader and richer than what you have just endured. You may think, I will be grateful when I achieve more, but the truth is, the opposite: you achieve more only when you are already grateful. Gratitude broadens your mind, elevates your vision, and allows you to recognize opportunities that the dissatisfied overlook. It drives you to act with joy instead of pressure, and that very energy produces better results. Gratitude is the soil, and fertile soil yields abundant harvests. A life of gratitude is not one with fewer storms, but one that finds anchorage even in storms. Each day you can choose to see what is missing or what is present, what is lost or what remains, what makes you bitter or what makes you grow. That choice shapes your mood, and mood shapes action. Each action combines to form destiny. Thus, your destiny begins with one question: do you live with a grateful heart or a dissatisfied one? Imagine this: if you carry gratitude, everything you do changes. You work not just to earn, but to honor the chance to create value. You love not just to receive, but because you are thankful to have someone to love. You learn not to prove yourself, but because you feel fortunate to access knowledge. Then every action ceases to be heavy. It becomes the natural expression of a full heart. Gratitude is soil. No one notices the soil when admiring a garden. They only see flowers and fruit. But if the soil is barren, flowers fade quickly and fruit loses sweetness. Life is the same. People may only see the success you achieve, but it is gratitude quietly beneath that nourishes and sustains it. And if you tend to this soil daily, nothing can stop your seeds from sprouting, blooming, and yielding harvests worthy of pride. Life never unfolds according to the plan we draw. You may calculate carefully, prepare thoroughly, even pray for smoothness, yet reality will always throw at you unexpected variables. Markets collapse, people change, health fluctuates, relationships fall apart. In this uncertain world, the two qualities that allow a person not only to survive but to rise are adaptability and resilience. They are survival weapons, protective armor, and wings that carry you through the storm. Adaptability is the flexibility of the mind, while resilience is the endurance of the soul. Adaptability allows you to change methods while keeping direction to switch vehicles without losing the destination. Resilience helps you rise after falling, gather the pieces, and keep walking. One is the art of adjustment, the other the strength of standing firm. Combined, they create a person who is both supple and strong, able to bend with the flow yet sturdy enough not to be swept away. Those who lack adaptability are often stuck in the past. They cling to old methods, familiar ways of thinking, and safe zones they believe are permanent. But the world does not stop to wait for them. When reality shifts, they become outdated, helpless, and bitter. In contrast, the adaptable are like water. They find shape wherever they flow. They curve around obstacles, slip into narrow gaps, fall into deep valleys, yet never stop moving. They do not resist change. They learn to harness it. Yet adaptability alone is not enough. If you are too flexible without resilience, you will be blown about by the wind, changing so much you lose your essence. That is why resilience is the necessary counterbalance. Resilience does not mean rigidity, it means holding firm to core values amidst change. It is like the trunk of an ancient tree. Branches may sway, limbs may break, leaves may fall, but the roots remain deep in the earth. The resilient do not deny pain nor pretend failure does not exist. They acknowledge it, endure it, and turn it into material for self-forging. Recall the times you have overcome upheaval. Perhaps it was losing a job, failing at a project, or enduring a personal shock. You may have been disoriented, but in the end you found a way to rise again. That very moment proves you have more strength than you believed. Adaptability helped you find a new path. Resilience gave you the strength to walk it. Every challenge overcome becomes living proof of the untapped potential within you. On the journey to success, there will be times when plans collapse and effort seems meaningless. But that is not the end. It is a test. A test of whether you can change tactics without changing goals, bend without breaking, fall 10 times yet rise 11. Sustainable success does not belong to those who never fail, but to those who always stand up after failure. Each time you do, you not only move closer to the goal, you become a stronger, sturdier version of yourself. Adaptability also requires an open mind. You cannot change if your thinking is locked in old beliefs. To adapt, you must learn to question, accept that you might be wrong, and remain willing to embrace new perspectives. The inflexible see change as a threat, the adaptable see it as a chance to learn. And this difference in attitude decides who survives and who is left behind. As for resilience, it is forged in the moments when you choose to continue, though quitting would be easier. When you walk an extra mile in exhaustion, when you maintain integrity in temptation, when you rise in the morning after a night of disappointment, those unseen moments build the invisible armor around you. And that armor is what protects you when storms strike. People often admire those who win under the spotlight, but few know that true victory is won in the dark, in the hours of self-study, while friends play in the training sessions, before empty stands, in the countless times of rising when no one believes. It is this hidden resilience that makes the radiance under the lights possible. When these two qualities walk together, you become indestructible. The world may change, you change with it, yet do not lose yourself. Adversity may knock you down, you hurt, but you do not collapse. You keep moving, sometimes slowly, sometimes trembling, but never stopping. That is the strength that others admire, but more importantly, the strength that earns your own respect. Imagine a ship in the ocean. Adaptability is the sail that shifts with the wind, capturing it to move forward. Resilience is the sturdy hull that does not break, though waves pound against it. Without one, the ship cannot reach its destination. A rigid sail tears, a weak hull sinks. But when the sail bends with the wind and the hull is firm enough to withstand the storm, the ship can cross any sea. Your life is that ship. No one promises calm waters forever. The only certainty is that storms will come. The question is, have you prepared your sail to shift? Have you strengthened your hull to endure? If the answer is yes, you will not only survive, you will emerge stronger after every storm. And then you will realize it is the storms themselves that train you, that reveal your true strength. Adaptability and resilience are not innate. They are skills honed by repeated choices. Each time you dare to change your approach, instead of clinging to the old, you refine adaptability. Each time you rise after failure, you strengthen resilience. Over years, these qualities accumulate, shaping you into someone no circumstance can defeat. That is why adaptability and resilience are called weapons of survival. They are not as dazzling as talent, not as loud as success, but they quietly decide who reaches the end of the path. With them, you no longer fear life's uncertainty. Instead of wishing for calm skies, you become the one who knows how to steer through storms. And in the end, you stand as proof that it is not the strongest or the smartest who survive, but those who can adapt and who are resilient enough never to quit. Most people live like leaves blown by the wind, happy when the sky is clear, gloomy when storms arrive, optimistic when supported, discouraged when opposed. Their whole lives they wait for favorable conditions as if the weather determines the value of their existence. But there is a rare group of people who do not live that way. They do not beg the wind to change direction. They do not complain when the rain falls. They do not resent when the sky turns dark. They become the wind itself, the ones who create the weather for their journey. And when they step into a room, the atmosphere shifts. When they speak, the air changes. When they act, the trajectory of events bends. They do not wait for favorable circumstances. They deliberately create them. Becoming the wind means you no longer live in a world of ifs. If someone helps me, if the market improves, if society is fairer, the longer you wait, the more you make yourself a victim of circumstances. Those who shape their lives understand that if is an excuse, while do is the escape. When they encounter difficulty, instead of wishing for clear skies, they ignite within themselves the fire of discipline, action, and faith. And that fire generates a new current of wind powerful enough to transform the entire scene around them. Look at history. Revolutionaries did not wait for society to be ready before starting. They lit the wind of change themselves. Brilliant entrepreneurs did not wait for a perfect market before launching. They created the market. Great leaders did not wait for the masses to agree before stepping forward. They stepped first, generating the spiritual climate for the people to follow. They all share the same trait. They were not passive in the storm. They became the wind that shifted the weather. In everyday life, the difference is just as clear. The passive always wait for perfect conditions to begin, waiting for capital to start a business, waiting for time to study, waiting for opportunities to arise. But perfect conditions never appear. The proactive know that beginning itself creates the conditions. They do not have time, they make time. They do not have capital, they start with the smallest sum. They do not have opportunities, they turn the smallest task before them into a stepping stone. And in doing so, they become the wind that opens the way for themselves. Becoming the wind is not about denying difficulty, but refusing to let difficulty control your spirit. The weather outside may change, but the weather inside you determines how far you go. The pessimist sees rain and stops walking. The creator sees rain and learns to row a boat. Others complain of headwinds, but they harness them to unfurl their sails and move faster. That attitude transforms adversity into assets, obstacles into stepping stones. The true power of creating the weather lies in its ripple effect. When you remain calm in chaos, others feel safe. When you radiate positivity in stagnation, others are lifted. When you advance instead of complaining, you become a living example that makes others reflect on themselves. In time, you not only change your own life, you create a new climate for your team, your environment, your community. This does not mean you must be strong at all times. Even the wind has rhythm, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. Becoming the wind means daring to maintain your own rhythm, refusing to be dragged into the unstable patterns of the outside world. You can feel sad, you can feel tired, but you do not let sadness or fatigue decide your direction. You let values, purpose, and discipline steer you. In that way, you are still the wind, because you control the inner climate rather than surrendering it to the skies outside. Some may ask, how do I become the wind? The answer is not to wait for a great event, but to train in the smallest details. When you wake on time, instead of pressing snooze, you create a climate of initiative for your day. When you keep a promise, even without oversight, you create a climate of trust in relationships. When you choose positivity instead of complaint, you create a climate of lightness around you. These small acts accumulate into strength, and eventually you become the person who changes the energy of a room simply by being present. Do not confuse creating the weather with manipulating others. Manipulation seeks to control behavior, while creating the weather begins with self-mastery. When you govern your own thoughts, emotions, and actions, the climate you carry naturally spreads. And because it is genuine, others will not feel coerced, they will feel inspired. That is why truly magnetic people do not need to shout, do not need to prove. They are quiet, yet the climate they radiate is undeniable. Becoming the wind means no longer begging for opportunities but creating them. No longer waiting for the right time but making any time right. No longer living dependent on others' decisions but placing yourself in the position of initiative. And when you truly step into that state, you do not just live differently, you become different. Wherever you go, the wind follows. Whatever you commit to, the climate around it shifts. You appear and the world cannot remain the same. And one day you will realize the miracle when you become the wind. You no longer worry about life's sudden changes. The weather outside may storm, but you know within you lies a strength no one can strip away. You carry your own wind, and it is strong enough to carve a path through any landscape. No need to wait for fortune, no need to beg for luck. You are the fortune, you are the luck. Because you have chosen not to live as a leaf waiting for the wind, but as the wind that makes the season. Human beings are always haunted by the idea of a finish line. They believe that when they reach a certain milestone, a sum of money, a position, a title, life will shift into a new chapter of ease, happiness, and fulfillment. But the harsh truth is that such a finish line does not exist. You may earn your degree, but life does not pause to honor you forever. You may make your first million, but tomorrow still brings pressure, decisions, and challenges. Every finish line you believe to be an end is in reality only a temporary marker on a journey that never closes. Life is not a race with a final stop. It is an ongoing construction built day after day. The greatest danger lies in believing there is a final destination. That belief traps you in two extremes, either constant dissatisfaction because you have not yet reached it, or emptiness once you have. How many people spend their whole lives chasing a single goal, building a house, starting a business, climbing to the top position, only to feel lost when they arrive? Now what? They thought life had a finish line. But when they realize nothing has changed except a few admiring glances, they are stunned by the emptiness of success. In contrast, those who understand that life is an endless construction walk differently. They know each day is another brick laid, each decision a part of the foundation, each habit a pillar raised. They do not expect the project to be completed. They focus on making it stronger and more beautiful. That mindset frees them from the illusion of the finish line and allows them to enjoy the process without being haunted by a destination that does not exist. A project that never ends also means you always have the chance to reinvent yourself. You are not imprisoned by yesterday's mistakes, because today you can add a new layer, fix a crack, reinforce a weak spot. Life only becomes stagnant when you think it is a completed building, unchangeable. But when you understand it is still under construction, you know you still have the right to add windows, build stairs, even tear down a wall to create new space. This awareness brings freedom, the freedom to correct, to evolve, to experiment. Without a finish line, there is no room for complacency. Those who believe in the finish line often fall into slumber. They think once they reach a certain level, they can stop. But the world never stops changing. If you stand still, you fall behind. Those who understand the endless construction know that every achievement is temporary, every glory only a moment. They keep digging, upgrading, reinforcing. This attitude keeps them humble, always learning, always advancing. You can see this in your own body. Even if you train diligently for a year and reach your ideal physique, if you stop, muscles vanish, health declines. You may accumulate knowledge for years, but if you stop reading, stop learning, that knowledge becomes outdated. Life never allows you to stay the same. Either you keep building or the project deteriorates. There is no third option. The truth is, the endless construction is not a burden, it is an opportunity. If there were a finish line, life would be boring. Once you arrived, there would be nothing left to do but decline. But because there is no finish line, you always have a reason to rise each morning, to try again, to explore a deeper layer within yourself. To embrace life as an endless construction means you never run out of inspiration, for there is always another brick waiting to be placed. This does not mean you are never satisfied. Knowing how to enjoy each part of the project is the art of living. You may be proud of the wall just built, yet eager to raise the roof. You may delight in the current floor, yet still anticipate adding a balcony to see farther. Satisfaction here does not mean stopping. It means appreciating progress while still yearning for more. It is a rare balance, grateful for the present, yet never ceasing to create the future. And endless construction also means the greatest value does not lie in the finished product, but in the process itself. Success is no longer a medal around your neck, but the character you forge in every brick laid. Joy is no longer postponed until Inauguration Day, but found in every hour of pouring concrete, every wipe of sweat. When you value the process, you no longer fear time. Each passing year only makes the structure more solid, more majestic. Imagine yourself as both the architect and the builder of your own life. The blueprint is not fixed. You have the right to revise it anytime. Materials are limitless. For every experience, every failure, every lesson becomes building blocks. Your project does not need to resemble anyone else's. It carries your imprint, your style, your proportions. And when you depart, your construction may still be unfinished, yet it will be enough for others to enter, to feel, to continue building upon. That is legacy, a construction without a finish line, only continuity. So do not look for the day you can declare, "I have arrived." That day never comes. Instead ask, "What brick did I lay today in the construction of my life?" For the answer to that question alone decides whether you are advancing. If each day you place one brick properly, 10 years later you will marvel at the fortress standing strong. But if you only sit drawing finish lines, 10 years later you will still be standing on bare ground, clutching only your sketch. Life has no finish line, and that is the gift. So stop obsessing over arrival and throw yourself into the act of building. Let every choice become a brick, every habit the mortar, every action a pillar. And then when you look up, you will see that though the construction never ends, it has already grown magnificent enough to make the world look up in awe. For the value does not lie in completion, but in the refusal to stop creating. That endless construction itself is proof that you have lived, that you have grown, that you have never ceased to move forward. Leadership is not a privilege, it is a responsibility. It is not the leather chair, the corner office, or the elegant business card, but the invisible burden placed on the shoulders of those who dare to step forward. A title may be given to you, but a title does not make you a leader. Only when you shoulder the weight, only when you become an example, only when you are willing to place the collective interest above the self do you touch the essence of leadership, a sacred responsibility. True leadership does not begin with commands, but with influence. People do not follow simply because you issue orders. They follow because they trust you. And that trust does not come from words, but from the standards you uphold, from the consistency between what you declare and what you practice. When the world around trembles, leadership is the anchor that steadies the spirit. When people are confused, leadership is the compass that points the way. When the group loses direction, leadership is the flame that lights the path. It is a role both noble and relentless, for no one can pretend to lead for long. Deception will soon be unmasked. There is a paradox. The higher the leadership, the less freedom it has. An ordinary person may choose wrongly and bear the consequence alone, but a leader does not have that privilege. A wrong decision can affect tens, hundreds, even thousands. That is why true leaders always walk in awareness, knowing that each of their choices carries many times the weight of others. They live under the watchful eyes of the collective, and their inner stability becomes the foundation upon which others feel secure to move forward. What defines a leader is not grandeur on the podium, but actions when no one is watching. People do not just listen to what you say, they observe how you live. They watch how you treat subordinates, how you keep your word, how you handle pressure. They notice the difficult decisions you make in silence, the sacrifices you accept without anyone knowing. It is these quiet moments that shape the conviction. This is someone worthy of my trust. Leadership is a sacred responsibility because it deals directly with people, not just with results. You may manage processes, but leadership uplifts spirits. You may direct work, but leadership ignites belief. The leader does not only ask, "What will we achieve?" but also, "Who will we become in the process of achieving it?" For achievements may collapse, but people who have been uplifted will go on to create others. A true leader understands that the greatest power does not lie in the ability to command, but in the ability to serve. When you place yourself in the position of serving the collective, you build enduring trust. Service does not mean lowering yourself, it means raising the standard, willing to sacrifice personal comfort to protect the common good, willing to take the front line when hardships come, willing to be misunderstood in order to uphold. Principle. Service is the quality that makes a leader the mountain standing firm in the storm. But leadership is also lonely. You cannot share every burden, nor can you expect everyone to understand your decisions. There will be times when you are criticized, opposed, even betrayed. That is the price of walking ahead. Yet if you truly have purpose, that loneliness will not kill you, it will shape you. It will teach you that leadership is not about seeking agreement, but about moving in the right direction even when you must walk alone. What distinguishes ordinary leadership from great leadership is vision. A good manager may keep a system running smoothly, but a great leader does not only maintain the present, they see the future. They dare to paint a vision unseen by others, dare to speak of a better world, dare to call people toward it, and they do not only speak it, they live it, turning it into a standard of action. Vision is the flame in a leader's eyes, the reason people believe even when the path is unclear. Yet vision without resolve is only dreaming. Leadership requires steadfastness to turn vision into reality. Leaders do not let failure extinguish the flame, nor hardship extinguish the will. They persist in affirming what they believe, repeating it until the entire group can see it too. Thus, leadership is not a miracle, but the steady repetition of values, actions, and words. Over time, that consistency becomes persuasion stronger than any slogan. Leadership is a sacred responsibility because it transcends the individual. It is not about how many people are under your command, but how many lives are elevated because of your presence. It is not about how many signs bear your name, but how many destinies are changed because of you. It is not about the spotlight you capture, but about the flame you pass on. And when you look back, what fills you with pride is not how many achievements you gained, but how many people you lifted up. For the world does not lack intelligence, does not lack talent, but it always longs for true leaders, those who see leadership as a mission, not a privilege. If one day you are entrusted with the chance to lead, remember it is not a gift to be enjoyed, but a torch to be carried. It is sacred because it touches human souls, the future of the collective, and the legacy of a generation. And when you have the courage to hold that torch, not for fame, but for the desire to serve you, become one of the rare few who understand leadership is a duty of the heart, not an ornament of the ego. Entrepreneurship is often painted as a glamorous adventure, financial freedom, limitless opportunity, the radiant glow of success. But that is only the surface. The truth is, far harsher entrepreneurship is the clearest mirror of human nature. The business you build does not only reflect ideas or business models, it reflects directly your character, habits, discipline, and even the cracks you have never admitted. Therefore, entrepreneurship is not simply a journey of creating products, but a journey of being reflected, tested, and reshaped. A young company is like the body of its founder. If your mind is chaotic, your business will operate in confusion. If you lack discipline, the company will be full of holes. If you are quick to quit, the project will die prematurely. The business is an amplified image of the founder, strong or fragile, clear or vague, enduring or short-lived, all is revealed without concealment. And because it amplifies, the small weaknesses within you become dangerous fractures in the system. Entrepreneurship forces you to confront this truth. Either you grow along with the business, or the business collapses with your lack of maturity. In the classroom, failure can remain theoretical. But in entrepreneurship, failure means salaries, unpaid contracts, unsigned customers walking away. A business has no tolerance for delay or daydreaming. It forces you to act, to decide, to take responsibility. There is no room for ambiguity. And if you are honest, you will recognize the pressures of entrepreneurship do not create problems, they only expose those already within you. Some people think entrepreneurship is a matter of product, how to create a unique idea, how to build new features. But most failures do not come from products. They come from people. Founders unclear about their values, unable to maintain discipline, incapable of enduring loneliness, unwilling to learn leadership. Companies collapse not because of a lack of talent, but because the founder has not matured enough. That is why entrepreneurship is such a harsh mirror. It does not deceive, it does not cover, it exposes the truth about you, whether you wish to see it or not. Therefore, the first step into entrepreneurship is not raising capital, not hiring staff, but looking in the mirror. You must ask, am I disciplined enough? Am I clear enough? Can I endure loneliness? Do I truly believe in the vision I am building? If the answer is no, then the problem is not in the market, not in the product, but in you. Entrepreneurship is a test of character, and the market is the cold, unforgiving judge. But entrepreneurship is also an opportunity to recreate yourself. For each day you face your business, you are forced to grow. When cash flow is tight, you learn to manage personal spending. When employees leave, you learn to lead by trust instead of power. When customers turn away, you learn to listen instead of impose. The business trains you in ways no school ever could through real falls, real disappointments, and the rare yet explosive moments of victory. The business is a mirror because it does not allow pretense. You may speak eloquently about discipline, but if you arrive late, the company reflects carelessness. You may preach vision, but if you change ideas constantly, the company reflects confusion. You may promise fairness in culture, but if you play favorites, the company reflects hypocrisy. The business simply magnifies who you truly are. And the only way to change that reflection is to change yourself. Entrepreneurship, therefore, is not only about making money, but a journey of self-cultivation. It forces you to confront your ego, the arrogance of success, the panic of failure, the easy compromise in hardship. You cannot hide them long, for the company will project them outward. If you panic, employees will feel insecure. If you are arrogant, partners will be wary. If you are impatient, customers will sense the carelessness. Conversely, if you are calm, the whole team will stand firm. If you are persistent, the company will endure. If you are upright, the brand will shine. Entrepreneurship is also where you learn humility. When facing countless variables beyond your control, you realize you cannot and need not know everything. You learn to ask, to listen, to trust, and to delegate. The entrepreneurial mirror reflects this clearly. The one who clings to everything, who tries to control all, will soon burn out. The one who knows when to let go, who builds a team, will go far. Business teaches you that strength does not come from doing everything yourself, but from creating an environment where everyone can thrive. Finally, entrepreneurship is a mirror that tests you with time. Many begin in excitement, but only those who persist quietly reach the day of harvest. The business reflects clearly whether you are truly serious. If you are, the company gradually grows. If you are superficial, it withers. The market does not give you second chances if you fail to learn from mistakes. That is why every day standing before your business is like standing before a mirror. And the mirror never lies. Who you are, the business will answer for you. On the surface, entrepreneurship looks like building products, conquering markets, raising funds, and scaling growth. But deeper down, it is a journey of building yourself, becoming the kind of person strong enough to lead a dream beyond the reach of the individual. And as the company develops, you realize that its growth is inseparable from your inner maturity. The business is the mirror. If you want it to shine, you must first be clear. If you want it to be strong, you must first be steadfast. If you want it to endure, you must first keep evolving. Every human being will eventually leave the stage of life. No matter how wealthy you are, how powerful you become, or how highly you are praised, all of it will fade. Wealth can be squandered, fame can be forgotten, and your face will eventually disappear from memory. The only thing that remains is legacy, the spiritual imprint and identity you carve onto time. And that legacy is not built in a single day. It is accumulated through every choice, every action, every attitude you sow into the world. Legacy is not a skyscraper, nor is it a number in a bank account. All tangible things can collapse or be transferred. True legacy is intangible yet immortal, the way you live, the values you defend, the person you become. A word of integrity can echo across generations. A kind action can inspire those who never met you. A steadfast example can become a compass for those who follow. That is what time cannot steal. It is important to note that legacy does not appear at the end of life as some unexpected reward. It is written daily with the ink of your choices. You build legacy when you keep a promise in silence. You engrave legacy when you persist in your values, even when it costs you. You strengthen legacy when you dare to stand against falsehood, knowing you may lose short-term benefits. Legacy is not an abstract monument for the future. It is the concrete work you are doing today. Many mistake legacy for a grand career or monumental achievements. But the truth is, Legacy begins in the smallest things: how you treat your family, how you support colleagues, how you inspire people who cross your path by chance. You may not change the entire world, but you can change someone's world. And sometimes that change spreads farther than you imagine, like ripples expanding endlessly when a stone touches the surface of a lake. Legacy is also the truest measure of identity. You can label yourself with countless titles, but time will strip away the glitter, leaving only the core. If you live selfishly, your legacy will be bitterness and emptiness. If you live with integrity, your legacy will be trust and respect. Time does not deceive. It records not what you claim, but what you truly are. The miracle is that you do not need to wait for old age to think about legacy. In fact, every day you are already leaving a mark. A decision today can influence years ahead. An action today can become a story retold in families, organizations, communities. By living consciously, you are writing chapters for generations not yet born. And when you understand this, you live differently, no longer chasing temporary satisfaction, but choosing what is enduring. Legacy is not for those who fear responsibility. It demands that you live consistently with your values, even when no one is watching. For legacy is not carved under stage lights, but by footprints along quiet roads. Every time you refuse to give up, every time you uphold your principles, every time you place the collective above yourself, all accumulate into an invisible statue called legacy. And that statue becomes clearer and brighter as the years pass. There is a harsh truth: you do not get to choose whether or not to leave a legacy. Legacy is inevitable. The only difference is its quality. Everyone leaves a trace, positive or negative, noble or petty, inspiring or cautionary. You cannot pass through this life without leaving something behind, for even indifference is a form of legacy, the legacy of missed opportunities. Therefore, the question is not, will I leave a legacy, but what kind of legacy will I leave? The truly great are deeply aware of this. They live not only for the present, but for the future. Every word they speak, every action they take is like a seed planted in the soil, with the belief that one day, perhaps long after they are gone, that seed will bloom into a forest. They do not need to see the result immediately. They only need to know they have planted the right seed. And that attitude turns their lives into a symphony that stretches on, echoing through generations. Legacy also has the power to strengthen you in the present. When you know you are living not only for today, you gain the strength to remain steadfast. When you know your actions will be carved into time, you are less tempted by trivialities. When you know your children, colleagues, future generations will look to the example you leave, you live with higher standards. Legacy is not just a gift for the future, it is a driving force for the present. One day your name will no longer appear on payrolls, no longer in work emails, no longer be called